What happens when a medical professional illegally distributes drugs? An elected official stealing money from the public, a purported humanitarian lying and cheating her patients. On today's episode of Fraud Files, we'll be talking about the case of a state lawmaker convicted by jury in COVID-19 fraud scheme at Springfield Healthcare Charity, stem cell fraud scheme, and illegal prescription drug distribution. To get all the details in this story, make sure you watch till the end, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to become part of this channel and click the bell icon to get notified of our subsequent videos. In Springfield, a federal trial jury found a Missouri state representative guilty of defrauding nearly $900,000 through the COVID-19 program, as well as $200,000 through a separate fraud scheme in which she advertised a phony stem cell treatment through her clinics in southern Missouri and provided illegal prescription drugs to patients of those clinics. This is an elected official who stole money from the public, a purported humanitarian who cheated and lied to her patients, and a medical professional who illegally distributed drugs, said U.S. Attorney Teresa Moore. She violated her position of trust to selfishly enrich herself at the expense of others. But a jury of her peers, in a unanimous verdict, saw through her smokescreen of excuses and ridiculous claims, and now she will be held accountable for her criminal behavior. Patricia Tricia Ashton Durgis, 64, of Nixa, Missouri, was found guilty on 10 counts of wire fraud, 10 charges of selling medications without a prescription online, and 2 counts of lying to a federal law enforcement official. Durgis was chosen to serve as a Missouri state representative for District 140 in November 2020, Christian County. Durgis, a licensed assistant physician but not a doctor, has 3 for-profit Ozark Valley Medical Clinic sites in Springfield, Ozark, and Branson, Missouri. A medical and dental clinic is run by Durgis's nonprofit organization, Lift Up Someone Today Incorporated in Springfield. Fraudulent COVID-19 scheme. In connection with her attempt to get approximately $900,000 in CARES Act funding falsely, Durgis was found guilty on 3 counts of wire fraud. Durgis did receive $296,574 in CARES Act funding for Lift Up, despite the fact that Lift Up did not offer its patients any COVID-19 testing services. In actuality, Lift Up's medical clinic shut down at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic and didn't reopen until June 2020. Durgis applied for financing under the CARES Act for COVID-19 testing that was already being offered and covered by her for-profit Ozark Valley Medical Clinic. Durgis sought future financing in the amount of $503,350, as well as repayment for $379,294 in COVID-19 testing and associated costs. Durgis submitted a total of $882,644 in requests to the CARES Act Relief Fund on behalf of Lift Up. In March 2020, Congress approved the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, which gave states, tribal governments, and local governmental entities $150 billion. The sum allotted to Missouri was about $2.3 billion. Greene County received almost $34 million in CARES Act funding from Missouri. The Greene County Commission established the CARES Act Relief Fund to manage the CARES Act funds it was given in order to encourage recovery by providing activities and services that serve the needs of persons affected by the COVID-19 public health emergency. The Greene County Commission was given the task of reviewing grant requests with the help of a 30-member advisory group made up of voluntary citizens. Durgis stated that Lift Up conducted COVID-19 testing in her application to the Greene County CARES Act Relief Fund, and she requested payment for COVID-19 qualified expenses that Lift Up expended. Durgis offered invoices from Dynamic DNA for more than 3,000 COVID-19 laboratory tests worth $296,574 to back up her assertion. Although the Dynamic DNA invoices were actually for testing performed at Durgis's for-profit Ozark Valley Medical Clinic, Durgis reported them as Lift Up expenses. Both Ozark Valley Medical Clinic and Lift Up are distinct legal entities. For these COVID-19 tests, Ozark Valley Medical Center had already earned almost $517,000 from its patients. For its COVID-19 testing services, Ozark Valley Medical Center paid clients, patients, or the employers of their patients around $167 each sample. Durgis hid the fact that other payers had already covered the cost of these COVID-19 tests from Greene County. Based on LiftUp's false application and the dynamic DNA invoices Durges had provided, the Greene County Commission granted LiftUp $296,574 in CARES Act funds in December 2020. Durges transferred the money from LiftUp's bank account to Ozark Valley Medical Center's bank account after depositing the check. Later, in December 2020, Durges gave Greene County a number of additional invoices from Dynamic DNA to support her LiftUp application. However, the invoices were really for testing completed for patients at Ozark Valley Medical Center, bringing the total to $589,143 for 6,177 COVID-19 tests. Durges hid from Greene County the fact that clients, patients, or the employers of their patients had previously paid about $1 million to Ozark Valley Medical Center for these COVID-19 tests. Fraudulent stem cell scheme. Durges was also found guilty on 7 counts of wire fraud in connection with a fraud operation that cost close to $200,000 and took place between December 2018 and May 2020. Durges advertised a stem cell therapy that in reality used amniotic fluid devoid of any stem cells. She was accused of scamming 4 distinct victims in a federal indictment, all of whom provided testimony throughout the trial. Durges bought amniotic fluid from the University of Utah, which she then sold under the name Regenerative Biologics. Durges marketed her stem cell profession through seminars, media appearances, and social media, positioning Ozark Valley Medical Clinic as a leader in regenerative medicine, which includes stem cells. Durges asserted similar ideas during private conversations. In actuality, neither mesenchymal stem cells nor any other type of stem cells were present in the amniotic fluid Durges gave to her patients. She received an allograft of sterile, filtered amniotic fluid from the University of Utah, a tissue graft comprised of human amniotic membrane and amniotic fluid components derived from placental tissue. The allograft of amniotic fluid was acellular, or devoid of all cells, including stem cells. Durges administered amniotic fluid to patients with a variety of conditions, including tissue damage, kidney disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, Lyme disease, and urinary incontinence. She falsely claimed that the fluid contained stem cells. Amniotic fluid allograft, according to a Facebook post by Durges from April 11, 2020, stands to give a viable cure for COVID-19 sufferers that is safe and natural. Durges purchased the amniotic fluid allograft from the University of Utah for about $244 per milliliter and $438 for 2 milliliters. Durges billed her clients between $950 and $1,450 for each milliliter. Patients paid Durges a total of about $191,815 for amniotic fluid that was devoid of stem cells. Act on Controlled Substances. Durges was also found guilty on 10 charges of selling Adderall and oxycodone online without a legal prescription. Durges is accused in the indictment of writing electronic prescriptions for patients for oxycodone and Adderall and sending them to pharmacies online without first doing in-person medical examinations of the patients. It was standard procedure for the assistant physicians at Ozark Valley Medical Clinic to see a patient, then later informed Durges of the controlled substances they wanted her to prescribe to their patients because none of the assistant physicians Durges worked with could write prescriptions for Schedule II controlled substances. Durges wrote electronic prescriptions for the patients and sent the prescriptions to pharmacies over the internet without doing an in-person medical evaluation of the patients as required by federal law. Fraudulent remarks. In May 2020, Durges was found guilty on 2 counts of lying to federal officials looking into this matter. Durges lied to investigators when she claimed that the amniotic fluid allograft she used in her practice contained mesenchymal stem cells, even though she was aware that this was untrue. Durges also admitted to lying to federal officials about not using an amniotic fluid allograft to treat a patient for urine incontinence. Assistant physician. Durges holds an assistant physician license but is not a professional doctor. In Missouri, an assistant physician is a mid-level medical specialist. In accordance with Missouri law, medical school graduates who have been rejected from residency programs but who have completed steps 1 and 2 of the USMLE may seek to become assistant physicians. According to state law, licensed physicians and assistant physicians must enter into a joint practice agreement in order for them to practice together. Durgis graduated from the Caribbean Medical University of Curacao with a medical degree in May 2014, but she was turned down for admission to a postgraduate residency program. The state of Missouri granted Durgis an assistant physician's license on September 8, 2017. After hearing the evidence, the jury in the U.S. District Court in Springfield, Missouri, deliberated for roughly 6 hours over 2 days before finding the defendants guilty on all counts and delivering their verdicts to U.S. District Judge Brian C. Wimes. This brought an end to the trial, which had started on Monday, June 13. Durgis could receive a sentence of up to 20 years in federal prison without parole for each of the 10 counts of wire fraud and the 10 counts of drug distribution under federal law, as well as a sentence of up to 5 years in federal prison without parole for each of the 2 counts of making false statements. The advisory sentencing guidelines will be used by the court to decide the defendant's punishment, but the maximum statutory sentence set by Congress is included here for informative purposes only. And here we come to the end of today's episode of Fraud Files regarding a state lawmaker convicted by jury in COVID-19 fraud scheme at Springfield Healthcare Charity, stem cell fraud scheme, and illegal prescription drug distribution. Please subscribe to our channel and push on that like button. Stay tuned to our channel for amazing videos like this one by clicking the bell icon. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section below about this event. We'll see you in another Fraud Files soon.